I am Justin Boyd.
I am George Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco. Sorry, I'm so not used to Frank being here.
I missed like one show, right?
No.
1 + 1 + 1. Okay. Go ahead.
3 shows. Well, I'm back now. And I will come back while I'm on vacation, but I had to come back because I had to catch up. And...
Okay.
Oh, I'm Frank Cooper, by the way. Sorry, guys.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to a already fun-filled episode of the Watchers in the Basement. We're all back together again, and we're here today to talk about Season 3, Episode 4 of The Boys. The name of the episode is Glorious 5-Year Plan. And before we get started talking about the episodes, I need to apologize to all of our watchers, our listeners, and of course, all of my fellow watchers here. So last week on our show, if you remember at the beginning, I mentioned about how, Amazon, The Boys is an Amazon Prime series. Amazon does this thing where if the shows come out on Fridays, but actually they've been coming out on Thursday nights for like years, right?
So until Justin said something.
Until last week when I said that. And then the episode, instead of coming out around 7 or 8 our time. By the way, side note, my girlfriend's mother, who does not watch this show, for some reason saw the first 5 minutes of our show last week, and she made the point to correct me. I said Central Standard Time. Apparently, during daylight savings time, it's only called Central Time. Mm-hmm. So, for what it's worth, if you out there have any corrections for me, please leave them in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. But so it's Central Time. It's Central Time.
Respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully.
I'm heart respectfully. Your girlfriend's mom just turned me on just now. I love intelligence. That's intelligence to a prime. I hope she's watching right now.
That's all
I'm really
she
turned
saw.
on. If she's married, I apologize. I don't really mean it. That's kind of a turn on.
That's all she said. That's it. That's all she watched. So anyway, but back to my original apology. So I jinxed us, right? So I said the episode was going to come out 7 or 8. It didn't come out until like 11 o'clock that night, like after 11. So anyway, I apologize to everybody. I'm sorry for jinxing us. Hopefully Amazon will forgive me, and this week we'll get the episode Thursday night around 7 or 8. So anyway,
I was so disappointed, Justin. I was like, wow. I was like, Justin let me down.
I know. I'm the hero you have. I'm not the one you deserve or whatever from Dark Knight. I'm sorry. It's just it's my fault. Yeah. Anyway, back to the show. Let's talk about this episode, because after watching this episode, I have a question for all y'all. Do y'all think that when it's all said and done, we've seen all the episodes and it's, who knows, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. Do you think it's going to be difficult to determine what is your favorite Boys episode? Like, seriously, because like every episode that I go, oh, that's my favorite, the next episode I like more. And like, I honestly, right now, it's like, I like them equally. I know that sounds like a cop-out answer, but like, this show gets better and better, and I can't pinpoint, like, there's no red wedding in The Boys. They're all red weddings. You know what I mean? Like, there's like red weddings, and there's red bachelor parties, and red whatever. Like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Lots of red.
Lots of red. Yeah. Well, we got red backgrounds too. So, So George, like, what do you think about that? Do you think it
is going to be very difficult to pinpoint my favorite episode because they've all been great, but honestly, here's what I'll say. The best episode for me by far is the first episode, because that's the one that hooked me. Like, within the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes of that show, I was like, what is this show about? It's crazy. And I don't think I'll ever get that feeling again from a show, like a new show in that way. So I'll still say the first episode is going to be my favorite episode like ever, but like they keep raising the bar and everything's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brittany, what do you think about that?
So I agree, Justin. I think every episode, because it leaves me wanting more, I feel like that new episode that premieres then becomes my new favorite episode. Like, this episode that we're about to dive into has got to be my favorite episode thus far, just because there was so much story development, character development. Oh my God, Homelander is just out of his fucking mind. Like, it's crazy. But real quick, before I jump over to Frank, I just want to give a shout out to my friend Maggie, who's joining us. She's a new watcher. Thank you so much for joining us today, Maggie. And she agrees with us so far, but also RIP Timothy. That was tough. I will say that was tough. I know George felt some type of way. I think we all felt some type of way about
I can't
Timothy.
eat a calamari or any type of octopus now. I feel bad.
Oh, that's right, calamari.
Well, that's
Dang, I
squid,
didn't-
but still, it's the same family.
yeah, same family. That's true. Frank,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you think like each episode just keeps getting better, or can you pinpoint down a favorite episode thus far?
You know what? I was rewatching it with my mom last week, and it was, oh yeah, my mom loves all that fuck shit too. And
I love
she
Mama
asked me,
Cooper. I
yeah,
love
she
Mama
asked me the
Cooper.
exact same question. She was like, "What is your favorite episode?" And it's like it's hard to pick only because when you have such a great show, a property like this, where it's so easy to like make everything so explosive every episode to where it gets dull. But the show has a great balance of like explosiveness, character developments, and just like a good pace. They can slow all the way down and speed it back up, and you don't lose anything as far as story content. But if I had to pick one, I'll probably have to say the airplane episodes in season one.
Mhm.
Very rarely, I mean, I watch a lot of graphic shows, and very rarely do you see little kids die. And the scene where the mom is holding the kid, and you see the teddy bear I think it was a teddy bear or a doll on the beach to signify everybody died. That crushed me. Like adults dying all day, every day on shows doesn't bother me at all. Whatever, fuck them. But like kids, like when kids die, it's like, what the fuck? Like, and like she's the mother's pleading to Maeve to save this child, and I was like, this shit is gangster as fuck. What the hell? Like, I don't remember kids. I don't remember kids dying on Game of Thrones. I mean, they might have talked about kids like after the fact of them dying, like Castle Rock, where they killed all the families, but it was off. It was off screen. To
I'm
see
sorry,
that,
did we forget about Theon like just burning those farmer boys to make it seem like it was Bran and Rickon?
I did forget
Rickon.
about that. I did. I did forget about that. And now that you
Sorry.
mention it, they burned. Stannis burned his daughter to the stake. I forgot about that too.
That was rough. That
See,
was
I
rough.
black all that in my mind because it's hard for me to see that. And like
Yeah.
when the boys went there, I was like, man, if you do this, man, it better mean something in the future of the show. And you see callbacks to it now from season one, even season three about the airplane footage. So that's probably my favorite episode so far.
Very dark.
The thing about this show is, like I've said, there's so much packed into one episode, right? That's why, like, I really think them last week giving us 3 episodes when 1 week is a mistake. Like, this show has the goods, just like Game of Thrones or like all these HBO shows. They give you 1 show a week, you digest it, you break it down, you rewatch it, you talk about it, and then you're dying for the next one, right? The following week. This show should only give us 1 a week because there's so much in every episode, and it's just it's almost like too much to like process. There's just so much, and it's all really good. The character development. I mean, every single character in this show has an interesting storyline, and you can't say that about almost any other show ever. You know what I mean? Like every member of the boys has something going on that's interesting. Every, all the soups have these crazy situations that are happening in their lives, and I just think it's like the peak of television. I really think this show, and I think this show's finally starting to get that respect. I think that initially people were like, "Hey, this is like a parody of superheroes," but it's like, yeah, it is a parody of superheroes, but it's actually better than what it's parodying, which I think is amazing. Like that's almost like unheard of that you could make up. Like you couldn't make up a basketball show that's like kind of like the NBA but not the NBA, and then try to like it just wouldn't work because some people would go, "Well, you're not wearing like the NBA jerseys or whatever. You're wearing fake teams or whatever." But like for this to replicate the superheroes, but give them their own stories and make it better than what they're trying to parody is like next level to me.
Miss Miranda brought up a good point about how we view superheroes. Like you don't like I've seen a lot of Marvel movies, DC movies,
Mhm.
even Spawn, like different superhero properties, and like they all have this sense of like they can have a torture past or origin story to where it draws them to want to save people. This is strictly business for these people. Like
Yeah.
like I've never seen a show where it talks about image more than like just a saving of a soul. And I really believe if superheroes were in today's world, it'll be more like Vault and less like the Avengers. Like
Yeah.
it's all about what you can gain, and propaganda, and what you can pivot and control. And it's beautiful, man. It's beautifully written.
So I mean, obviously Homelander, he's the key character, and we're going to talk a lot about him. But I want to talk about another character who I think that before the end of this episode, I thought it was kind of her episode. I want to talk about Kamiko. To me, I think this is her best episode. She's obviously her and Frenchie, they're looking to break away from Butcher. And also, just a real quick side note, the similarities between Butcher, how Butcher treats the boys and how Homelander treats the Soups, very similar. Butcher treats the boys like garbage. Homelander treats the other Soups like they're less than him. I mean, obviously, physically they are, or powers wise, but like, it's very weird how like they're parallel in that respect, and it seems like it's leading up to them going head to head, and maybe they're the only two people left. I don't know, but
I mean, they're
yeah,
definitely the two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Butcher and Homelander, and
Right.
especially now that we've seen Butcher take Temp V a couple of times at this point, and he has what seems to be powers that could kind of rival that of Homelander with the laser vision or what have you. It's just very interesting now that parallel is more apparent with the similarities of how they treat their team, if you will. The boys are Butcher's team, and the 7 is Homelander's team. And I think I've always felt or thought, man, there's some similarities, but again, it just didn't become apparent until I think this episode.
But there's something that there's a defining difference between those two characters, in Homelander and Butcher. You saw that in this last episode. Mother's Milk, or Marvin, we finally find his name this season.
Mhm.
He's a defining pillar for Butcher, and he says in this past episode, he's like, the reason you're here is to make me less of an asshole and check my worst impulses.
Right.
Homelander does not have that. Homelander is whole asshole the whole time.
Right.
Like there's,
Right.
there's no
Right.
there's no power unchecked, and from Butcher to going way Butcher, he needs Mother's Milk there to like kind of even him out, to be the good cop to his bad cop. And
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying Butcher's better, but I'm saying he knows himself. He knows that he can go off the rails, and he needs Mother's Milk there to keep things copacetic and keep things balanced out a little bit.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like maybe that's going to continue, as Mother's Milk says in this episode, that he's like, there's no team for him left to save with all that happens, and we'll get into that. But George, I want to throw it to you real quick. Let's talk about Kamiko. I think this was her best episode. She gets caught up in this thing where they're going to Russia. They've got to do some dirty work for little Nina, who is this person that Frenchie had worked for. And we get the Belle Biv DeVoe like needle drop with that girl's poison. She's dressed. She looks great. And then she goes in to kill this Russian oligarch with soup dildos. So George, take it from there.
Yeah. So the beginning of that, starting that way with all the dildos, the superhero dildos, different ones, that was a fight scene I was not ready for, or did not expect, or didn't even know why that would happen. And also, apparently, like, there's a market for these dildos, because we see the Homelander one later on, but Kimiko's has to kill this guy, literally just kills him and stuffs the thing in his head. That was fucking disgusting, dude. That was so fucking gross.
Yeah.
And then
that was another inappropriate laugh from me.
Yeah. But even then, like, I don't know whether to laugh or just like look at him like, what the fuck, bro? Like, this show's getting like gruesome. Like it's been getting progressively worse. I'm like, fuck. But after that, like, the girls freak out and they shoot Kimiko for some fucking reason. I don't know why they shot her. What they were gonna do.
Well, they just witnessed her like kill all these guys.
Yeah, but it seemed like they
with
were like
fucking
there.
dildos.
They were there like involuntary. Like, what was she gonna do to them?
Yeah, but you got to think too. Like,
They're
these
scared.
are child slaves, so they've probably been conditioned
Right.
to, like, psychologically conditioned to deal with this on a regular basis with this fat fuck, and then all of a sudden this guy gets killed with a bunch of dildos. You're gonna freak out. You know, all you know is subjugation and
Yeah.
sex. That's all you know. So when Kimiko comes and saves them, it's kind of like the Stockholm syndrome type of deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Well said, Frank. Well said.
I've been reading a lot. Thank you.
Expanding his vocabulary just for us, so we
Oh my
appreciate that.
goodness.
And then let's just continue with her storyline throughout the rest of the show. So she gets, as George mentioned, she gets shot in the head. And for a second there, I was like, oh my God, is this how she's going to die? Because she lays there, she lays with her head upside down. And then, of course, her Wolverine like healing factor or healing powers kick in and she's okay. And then, but, she's covered in blood. She sees these other slaves or prostitutes who are, very much frightened. And it's one of these moments where she realizes this is enough for her. She comes back to Butcher and it's like, the job's done, but she's ready to get out of there. And then, of course, they have one more job to do because Frenchie and her are going to get out. They have one more job to do because they said, screw Butcher. We don't care about him, but like, we've got to be here for MM and for Huey. So the very end of the episode, we're in Russia with this nuclear plant or something. And they're trying to find this weapon that potentially can kill Homelander. Turns out the weapon is Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy did not die. He's been experimented on Winter Soldier style by the Russians. He now has this power where he can shoot light out of his chest or something. Brittany, you want to take it from there? Like what happens? And
that whole scene was really, really interesting. I think that this is probably the reason why this episode is now my favorite, because like Justin, what you talked about earlier with parodying all these other franchises, we've talked extensively about how this is like a gimmick, not a gimmick, but they're poking fun at DC and Marvel and like all these other franchises, right? And in this sense, of course, it was very Captain America, Winter Soldier-esque, where you have this Russian compound where they're trying to find this weapon. We come across a soup hamster named Jamie.
Yep.
Very interesting. Jamie just loses his mind inside his casing, and when all hell breaks loose, and the Russian officers or whatever military people come in and try to shoot up the place, Jamie flies and goes through the eye of one of these Russian soldiers. Very disturbing, but merci Jamie for taking that person out. But oh hey, real quick, I just want to say hey to Mel. What's up? Thanks for joining. We're just talking about the latest episode of Amazon Prime, The Boys. If you haven't checked it out, you need to do so. It's an insane show. Sidebar, Mel, we talked about Fast and the Furious off screen yesterday. Justin's a huge fan of Fast and Furious, by the way. We can talk about that later. Anyway, going back to the scene with Soldier Boy, the big reveal, not only did Butcher finally show the rest of the boys that, he was invincible to these bullets, Huey also surprised the hell out of all of us. I just have to say that here because of the fact that I was not expecting to see him teleport and be naked, which was very disturbing. And take out, again, one of these other Russian soldiers and literally like punched his way through the dude's torso. And also now his arm is completely healed, it seems. So that surprised the hell out of me. But again, the big reveal was with Soldier Boy and having very similar powers to that of I think he was an Arab terrorist, with the Arabic name of Captain tattooed on his chest. And he, radiated some kind of power beam thing out of his chest. But this is very peculiar because the fact that when Soldier Boy did just that, it was aimed towards Frenchie, but Kimiko pushed Frenchie out of the way and she took the full blast of it. Now it's a concern because Kimiko's not healing. She has like those Wolverine type powers, like you said, and she's not healing. She's bleeding. She's got like this metal rod that's, lodged into her stomach. And she looks like she's not going to make it, and talk about highs and lows. Like you said earlier, she had a really big job to fulfill with the Russian oligarch and the, super dildos. But this, I'm seriously concerned. I'm hoping, all for the best for Kimiko. Cause I think she, albeit she doesn't have a speaking role, but she has made an impact on the boys, especially with Frenchie, of course. But even just saying to Butcher, like, I'm not your fucking gun. And he's like, that's exactly what you are. Like, can you imagine what would happen to the boys if like she dies? Can you imagine? The whole thing would fall apart.
I mean, that's the thing right now in the show, it is falling apart. I mean, because Huey, you're right. He took the V-24 or temporary V, whatever it's called. Butcher told him not to. He took it anyway. And while Kimiko is dying in the van, while I guess they're driving to a hospital, he's like enamored with like this new power, and he's like looking out the window and looking at his arm, and his arm is like glowing that yellow glow, just like when Homelander, when Butcher has his laser vision. That's then that's when Amen said the line that, hey, look, there's not a team left for me to keep together here. Like it, and then the thing is while we have a lot of deaths in this show, and we're gonna get to some more in a second, we haven't had a major character death in this show, have we? Right? Like, and you gotta think that one of the boys is not gonna make it to season 3. I mean, honestly, I don't even see how anybody makes it to season 3, but I mean, I hope it's not Kimiko, but I don't want to lose any of them. Do y'all think that, is there a certain person you think that won't be in season 4 is what I'm saying?
I have a prediction.
Go for it.
I'm going to call it here and now and say Frenchie is not going to make it. Under what circumstances, I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like it's one of those things where, you see that his connection with Kimiko, right? And how he's freaking out over her, what we think is she's dying. I feel like there's going to come a point where either it's going to be little Nina or Cherie or something, or someone is going to like try to come for either Frenchie or Kimiko, and Kimiko's not going to be able to protect him, and he's just going to, that or he makes the ultimate sacrifice. I don't know. Again, I don't know under what circumstances. I just kind of get the feeling that like Frenchie may not make it. But I also feel like one of the 7 may not make it either, but we can talk about that in a second. Do you guys, George or Frank, have any predictions? If any of the boys are not going to make it, who would it be?
Frenchie or Kimiko, either one of them, because they were foreshadowing like we're gonna get away and then as soon as that happens, Kimiko gets injured. So I think towards the end of the season, one of them's gonna die.
Yeah, my friend Maggie also thinks Frenchie as well. So, Frank, what about you? You have any predictions?
I think somebody from the 7. I think either A Train or Deep. I think this character arc with A Train, with him realizing that he's pretty much an afterthought. I think he's gonna do something stupid to the point where he acts out of character and he gets killed for it.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good prediction. I just want to follow up on Brittany's prediction of Frenchie. I agree with you, but and the reason why I agree with you is because who knows if this means anything or not, but
Because I'm right.
No, you very well could be right, but what I'm going to say is, so this week we learned that, no surprise, but The Boys has already been renewed for season 4. And in all the season 4, like kind of celebration stuff, a bunch of the posts showed different actors all holding up the number like 4 in front of their face. And Frenchie's a character, Timur, what's his last, Capone, I believe, or something. I'm not sure his name. Anyway, the actor's, he was not shown in that material. So that doesn't mean, I don't think
I
he's big
noticed
on
that
social
too.
media, but like that could be something like he wasn't a part of that. And Kimiko was. So maybe that, tells us that she's going to be in the show going forward. I mean, I don't know if that matters. But as far as a member of the 7, I think that Maeve will not make it past the season finale.
I
believe
agree.
That's another one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I for sure agree, just because the conversation between her and Starlight, when Starlight's like trying to recruit people to, team up to fight Homelander because of this weapon, and it, Maeve reveals to her like, hey, who do you think sent Butcher down the rabbit hole? She basically says she's training because she wants to give everyone the opportunity and doesn't really think so much of her own life. She's just like, I've had it coming. So maybe it's like guilt for everything that she's done as a soup or as part of the 7, especially with Flight 37. She didn't fight harder to save people, because she's scared of Homelander, right? So probably in her eyes, she feels this is what needs to happen, and I'm going to do what I have to do.
And speaking of soup death, so last week I predicted that Supersonic would not make it to the season finale. I turned out I was very much right. I didn't realize he was going to die in the next episode. That I did not see that coming. I thought that we would see him defending Starlight or something, and I wasn't surprised he was killed by Homelander, but that was a pretty shocking end. And you're talking about a second ago about how Maeve, uh, Starlight was recruiting Maeve to join the group. She had Supersonic on her side. She said they needed 4 or 5 soups to team up against Homelander. Supersonic had kind of recruited A-Train. And A-Train, it seemed like he was like maybe gonna turn face and be a good guy. In the end, he reverted to his old ways, and he's the one who ratted out Supersonic, and that's why Homelander killed him. So I was actually surprised by that because I thought we were getting a turn for A-Train. George, what do you think? Or,
Oh.
go ahead, Brittany.
Just real quick, I was just gonna say with A-Train, I can see where Frank's point of view with his story arc and how maybe he, because of the choices that he makes, it's not going to end well for him this season. But at the same time, I feel like they wouldn't have introduced the possibility of that Blue Hawk who's, just running people down in Trenton and it not go anywhere other than just, A-Train addressing it with the 7. I feel like with A-Train, if there is a heel turn, it's going to be because his own family, his own brother is going to be impacted by that one soup, or something has to happen for it to really like hit home.
Yeah, you mean face turn? He's already
face turn, whatever, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Sorry, but I think in the sense of A-Train, but like at the same time, I want like all these story arcs to happen for these characters, and we're not going to get that. I wanted to see like some kind of thing between Supersonic and Homelander, and Homelander's going to make Starlight like kill him, because of what happened with Huey in the tunnels the previous season. But anyway, that didn't happen. I don't know what direction is what we're gonna see. But yeah, George.
I think A-Train is gonna stay like a bitch for Homelander, like because he literally turned in Supersonic for saying that they were gonna try and take him down, whatever, and that guy ends up dying. So he's just trying to get in good graces with Homelander to, I don't know, kind of be in his pocket. Maybe he sees that as an in for him turning him in. Maybe he'll go after this Blue Hawk guy or whatever the fuck the racist dude is. I think he's either trying to work it that way or he's going to end up Homelander's bitch, which he already kind of seems like it.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, maybe I could see where, like, I think kind of what Frank was saying, that like eventually A-Train's going to realize, like, I can't be Homelander's bitch. I've got to do something. And maybe he's going to take the V or decide to run and, I don't know, run at Homelander and try to, like, before his heart explodes, try to kill him with something. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the end of A-Train also this year in the season finale because of his.
That'd be a cool way to die.
Yeah, because of his limitations on his body and his powers. That might make sense.
Not that it's going to go anywhere, but he was part of the promo with season 4 being.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
renewed. So maybe.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping with like a story arc of maybe someone in his family being impacted by Blue Hawk or whatever, he'll come to the boys' side and be like, or Starlight's side rather, and be like, all right, we need to take out Homelander. But I'm not sure. Frank, what are your thoughts on all this?
As far who I think doesn't make it?
Yeah.
Just on the whole A-Train situation, as far as like what he did in this episode and how you see it maybe playing out, or what's next for A-Train.
Yeah, I think his end is near. I think, like Brittany said, when they bring in the social issues, what's going on in his neighborhood, and with what's that villain? Blue Hawk.
Blue Hawk.
Yeah, I think Blue Hawk's gonna play a part. I mean, I think turning in Supersonic could have been a bargaining chip to go back and like right the wrongs of what's going on in his neighborhood. But I don't think he's gonna be Homelander's bitch for a minute of the season. I think something's gonna come ahead to where he's gonna have to choose his family over what's going on at Vaults, and I can see him putting himself as a sacrificial lamb to save, to be a symbol. Because I think right now what's the storylines going on for the season is he wants to be remembered as a symbol of hope, and a symbol of blackness and what's going on in his community. Even though it was poor stretch and poor attempt on the pitching in episode 1 of what he was trying to do. But I think in the mainstream of everything, he's trying to be a symbol towards people who look like him. And with Bart not really giving a damn, I think he's gonna try to make that his legacy, and he's gonna die in the end for that.
Yeah, and the one thing about A-Train before we move on, he's all about his brand. And I want to talk to George about this part. I think George will appreciate this. The commercial shoot that A-Train does in this episode.
We finally saw it.
Yeah, so George, lay it out for us.
So we finally see the Pepsi parody. I don't know. I'm sure you guys remember that Pepsi role with Kendall Jenner, that she hands a police officer like a Pepsi can, and it cures world peace and ends racism and everything. And it's just hilarious that they do this. A-Train does the same thing, and they make a parody of it, and I just thought it was hilarious. I was looking forward to that. It made me laugh a lot.
It's so well done. All that stuff is so well done. It's really just another like layer of this show that I think that other shows just can't compete with. Like it's like they have the story, and then they have like this like these fake commercial things that are like better than other shows. it's just really impressive what they do with this show. Kind of in the same area. Let's talk a little bit about the character Ashley, because her character is like, now that Madeline Stillwell's out of the way.
Which Ashley?
You're right. I'll go with the Ashley that we're familiar with, the one who's been in all 3 seasons. So our girl Ashley, she's now climbing the corporate ladder at Vought, and it seems like she's now just taking over. So she's running these commercial shoots. She's also like in charge of like their Fox News type channel with their host Cameron Coleman. And I want to talk about a scene that with her and Homelander learns that Ashley tells Homelander that, hey, like later today, Victoria Newman is going to have a press conference about you. And then he gets upset that he's just finding out about it. And he asks her this question. He says, is your idiot brain getting fucked by stupid? Which, great question. And he said, it's not rhetorical. I need an answer. And so he makes her say that the answer is no, of course. And so then, 10 minutes later, we see her now, as she's rising in her position of power, now that she's running this like Fox News channel or Vought News or whatever it's called. She uses the same line on this Cameron Coleman guy, with different results, I might say. Brittany, what'd you think about that whole scene?
Again, another inappropriate laugh from me, because the fact that she had to echo back what Homelander said to her in order to assert her power, right, was just, it was really silly, because had it been like an original thought coming out of her idiot brain, I think I would have had a little bit more respect for her, but I don't, because she's just as whipped as the Deep is and A-Train. But the fact that Cameron Coleman seeing the massive Homelander dildo and was just like, yes, my idiot brain is getting fucked by stupid, and she's just elated with this whole, oh yeah, like it's about to happen. I'm just like, oh my God. And it's like, why?
Yeah, it's stuff like that you just don't even expect. Even after you've already seen these like dildo scenes, like you don't expect them to continue it in another way. It's just so crazy.
That scene right there, if I could bet money on, I bet that was Seth Rogen who wrote that scene right there. It had that just screams Seth Rogen to me. That's something he would like. It was absolutely random, inappropriate. Like it just sounded like Seth to me right there. Like I didn't expect that.
It reminded me, this may be getting political, but hey, people say that this show is political. Let's just feed into that for a second. It reminded me of season 1 with the one conservative senator who was keeping the whole bill of getting soups into the military from even being discussed. He's a conservative senator from Oklahoma, but yet he was having relations with this beautiful woman that he met at a Vought event, and it ended up being Doppelganger who morphed into his true self. And then there's, physical evidence of said relations. And so it kind of shows, like, if you lean more towards one side of the political party over the other, you say these things, but you really do other things that are very questionable. I just kind of like how that got brought into this whole storyline. It was just hilarious to me.
I mean, that just goes back to say that's the more of the story. Don't let anybody tie you up, because you don't know what's going to happen if that does happen. Like it's beyond your control at that point.
I don't
So-
think Cameron Coleman wanted to be tied up. I think he wanted to be bent over, and I think he was a willing participant. It seemed like.
Yeah, he definitely didn't want to be strapped. That was not the issue. He wanted to receive. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So from one, I guess, somewhat powerful woman to another, let's talk about Victoria Newman, which obviously we learned. Not you, Brittany. Not yet. You'll have your moment to shine later in the show. Let's talk about Victoria Newman. So we learned that she's a soup. Obviously, we learned that this season, or we knew that, but everyone else, or Huey, knows that she's a soup, right? And in this episode, honestly, this was one of the most surprising things to me, was the fact that she had this kind of Stan Edgar was kind of her father figure, and it seemed like when she was holding this news conference that Edgar had directed her to, hey, Homelander, we need to slap him on the wrist, let him know who's in charge. In his birthday celebration, he said a lot of bad words, so we can say, like, the FCC is finding him or whatever, just to like let him know. And so then she goes before this press conference and she totally flips on Edgar and says that, he's behind all this corruption at Vought. And I did not see that coming. I'll go to you, George. Were you surprised by that? Did you expect that? I didn't see it coming.
I didn't expect it, but I can see why she did it. She wanted to protect her daughter, and I mean that alone was a reason to do it. But I think somehow she still didn't trust Stan Edgar, like, because how is he going to protect her from Homelander, the craziest, most. And here's the question I have: how did Homelander know that she was a suit?
That's a really good question.
Because when he showed up at her house, he's like, "Are you gonna pop my head?" I was like, "Bro, how the fuck did you know that?"
What wasn't he carrying, like, a file too that he gave
Yeah.
her? I think that was a file that he got
how
from Vought.
long has he known?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a great question. Even Maggie is posing here. Did she pre-plan with Homelander? And that's what's really interesting about the show, is that because it keeps you guessing, it keeps you thinking, like, what is going on behind the scenes. Stan Edgar has his plan, the boys have their plan, Homelander has his plan, but then there's like sub plans going on simultaneously, not knowing how long has Homelander known that Victoria Newman is a soup. He obviously, snooped through Edgar's office, because that's how he acquired the file that he did give to Vicky. And I like how you called her Vicky, by the way. That was kind of funny. Like, oh, we're on the same level now. You chose your own kind. Like, we're cool. We're personable. Like, we're cool. But yeah, I wonder too, like, how long did he know about this, and how long was he waiting to share that piece of information? I don't know. Frank, what you were saying?
No, I'm kind of confused, because, like, at this point, there's been no, like, unless that we haven't seen as far as the viewers, there's been no precautionary measures of if or when Homelander goes rogue. So my question is, what stopped Homelander from snapping Stan Edgar's neck 2 seasons ago? I don't understand, like, what does, because at this point he doesn't give a damn about his image. At this point, he told Starlight himself, like, you can show the footage. I'm gonna just murder everybody in New York. I'm gonna murder everybody here. I'm gonna murder everybody there. Like, what was stopping him from killing Stan Edgar in the first place?
I do think that you're right about what he said. He said, like, once I lose everything, then I'll have nothing to lose. But for whatever reason, he still does care about, like, that popularity factor, like that Q rating or whatever. He is very concerned with people liking him for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
I thought I believe that point
Yeah.
to the birthday episode, when he just
Right.
went off the rails. So I think when you have somebody cornered and they have in his mind nothing to lose as far as his
Right.
image, I don't. There has to be something there for why he hasn't killed Stan Edgar. Because like he had no problem killing Stillwell episode 1 in the last season, last episode of episode 10 of season 1 or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Is it his son?
huh?
Is it his son?
It could be. It could be that maybe Edgar
So-
knows where the kid is,
Yeah,
or
they're
they have
probably like helping hide him somewhere or something.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I can think that he leaves him alive.
Yeah, but he didn't. But he didn't know he had a son until season 2, and he could have killed Stan Edgar way before then.
I think Frank, it's just fear, because fear is quite powerful. That how do you think dictators get to where they are today, right? It's fear, it's imposing fear. And I think with Homelander, for him now, it's all a game, for him to allow Stan Edgar to think that he's still in power and he can, call the shots. And really, Homelander's the one who's pulling the strings. He's pulling he got to Victoria Newman, Stan Edgar's daughter for all intents and purposes. And he persuaded her in whatever fashion to choose her own kind, using Homelander's words, over protecting Stan Edgar. Or he at least is just a good manipulator. But again, I think it all derives from fear. For whatever reason, if maybe he just wanted to just slowly torture, these people at the same time until he gets what he ultimately wants, and that's everything. I'm not sure.
I mean, it seems like now he is calling the shots at Vought, because whenever Victoria flips on Edgar during the news conference, the 7 or however the 5 of the 7 or whatever that are watching it, Homelander says, like, we've always been a superhero company. It should make it. It makes sense that we should be in charge. Like, we're the ones doing all the work. We're the product. But we're also like the reason why this company is anything. So I do think there's a power component. I think he would like to take over that company. I mean, even though he has the power to take over the world, I think that he is so conditioned in that to living that way. And like, him obviously forcing this fake relationship with Starlight is also like she's very popular. So he's trying to get that rub from her, like her popularity. So he does care about what people think about him in some form or fashion. But, obviously if things go bad, then he could just kill everybody. That's there would be, the only stopping him, I guess, would be this weapon that, is Soldier Boy. So,
well, it's like I said, it's a game. I mean, no reason. It's no different than Homelander going to Butcher's because he knows where he lives and just like taking him out there. Like it doesn't matter. He could do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
But where's the fun in that? For him, it's just a game.
He's almost like a superpowered Joker. Like the Joker would never I don't think he would ever really want to kill Batman because, he liked to have Batman to go back and forth against. So, it's something like that. I'm not sure.
Is it because he wants an audience? He wants to be revered so much, no matter what. And like,
I think he wants to be loved.
So.
I think that's a big part of it too. I think he wants to be like Superman. You know what I mean? Like he wants to be revered and loved. And I mean, he is to certain people, but I think he wants the adulation of everybody. And, by controlling the most powerful company in the world, in addition to being the most powerful man in the world, like, I guess that's how you do it. Before we leave Newman, let's talk about, so Homelander, he makes a deal with Newman, and her deal is she wants to protect her daughter. And so Homelander gives her Compound V. As he says it's the original recipe, all 11 spices and herbs, like it's KFC or something. And the scene where, so he gives Newman the Compound V. Newman tells her daughter Zoe that, look, I'm gonna have to give you this medicine because it's the only way to keep you safe, and you're gonna be strong and you're gonna be protected. And when he gave her when Newman gives her daughter the shot, I thought it was gonna kill her. What did y'all think about that?
I didn't think it'd kill her. But
oh, really? Okay.
This makes no sense to me. Like, it's supposed to protect her from what? From Homelander? Because he could literally kill anybody.
Yeah, I guess anybody else.
Made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I thought she might turn into a big green monster because you don't know what powers you're gonna get when you
Exactly.
inject Compound V. So like I thought she was gonna turn into something hideous like the Blob or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I thought of two things. It's either going to disfigure her because it seemed like it was really like crawling up, into her veins and like up up her upper body, and the child, let's presume she's, I don't know, what, 10 or so. I mean, she's screaming and she's crying, and I'm like, the whole first of all, shot in the spine does not sound like any fun whatsoever. But I also questioned whether or not Homelander did provide legitimate Compound V, or if it was poison, or just to have the upper hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Victoria Newman has done some things against Homelander and such. Like, was he actually going to provide her with the real thing? But then it made me think. The last thing he said to Victoria before he left was, I'm glad you chose your own kind over Stan Edgar. Like, that was smart. So I think he does value Soups and being superior, because he considered himself a god, right? When he talked to Ryan, he said, we're gods, we're not like the rest of these people, and we're superior, blah blah blah. So I think there's some value in the sense that if Victoria Newman wanted to make her daughter into a Soup, then Homelander probably would legitimately provided Compound V in order to add one more to the mix.
It's like that Magneto complex of the whole apocalypse, the battle of the fittest, like the superior race s- surviving over the less superior race. I think Homelander wants world domination with Soups. That's why they want Soups in the military. He wants every corner of every facet of the world dominated by Soups, by his kind, and be the de facto leader.
Yeah.
It sounds about right. Sounds about right. I just really quickly want to share. Maggie says, reminded me of Gizmo when water touched him and created gremlins. It's pretty good. Yes.
Also, KFC was featured in that movie, right? The fried chicken. Don't feed them after midnight. So.
I think so.
Honestly, that's the best looking fried chicken has ever looked. Like I remember as a kid watching that movie going, man, that looks so good. And it was like fried chicken in the refrigerator too, which obviously you want to heat that up, but not those gremlins. They just go for it. So um trying to I was gonna save this, but let's get to Soldier Boy, obviously. What do we think is gonna happen with that character now that he's on the loose? He's broken free. He has this, he's like Captain America, but now he has this like other power that obviously Captain America doesn't have. Do you think the boys are going to convince him to join them? Is he going to just be on his own? Will he team up with Homelander? Like, how do we see this going with Soldier Boy?
I think he's going to fly solo. And I say that because I can't imagine for how difficult it's going to be if Soldier Boy were to join forces with the boys. Yeah. Because obviously has beef with Soldier Boy and whatever happened with his family, his dad, etc. And I mean, I don't know.
Talk about that. Like, how did Soldier Boy kill his family? I'm so confused by that.
They haven't delved into that entirely.
Okay.
It looks like it
has to do with a car accident, though.
Yeah, it looks like a car accident of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they haven't openly said it was Soldier Boy who caused this or did this or something like that. And it hasn't been revealed entirely. But we obviously know there's beef between and Soldier Boy. So I feel like Soldier Boy is probably going to go rogue for a period of time. And I have no basis to make this assumption, but I'm convinced that Vought had something to do with Soldier Boy being taken away. I think I think they wanted to get rid of him to bring in Homelander or some new Soup that was going to be, the cream of the crop or whatever, and they needed to do away with him, right? And thus Vought maybe has made alliances with Russia to do the dirty work, right? So I feel like Soldier Boy has beef with Vought as well. He's gonna do whatever it takes to not to quote Captain America, but to get back to Vought and do whatever he needs to do there. I'm not sure if he would join forces with anyone, truthfully, because if Homelander's with Vought for the time being, I can't see him aligning with Homelander either.
Yeah, I think with Soldier Boy, like it seems like Homelander's like the evolution of that hero. You know what I mean? Like Soldier Boy being like Captain America, the all-American hero, and then like to have Superman. If you notice, like all these characters who have red, white, and blue, like in their color patterns and schemes and stuff. To have Homelander be like the evolution, and maybe Vought was using this Russian lab as a way to can we upgrade Soldier Boy, because I don't believe that Soldier Boy could fly, just like Captain America can't fly or doesn't have the laser vision. But I don't know. It's just so interesting to see what's going to happen. I feel like those two have to face off. I feel like Homelander and Soldier Boy have to come to blows, and there's got to be some kind of a battle. And I honestly, I wonder, like, will Soldier Boy, is he just like this season's like Stormfront? Is he just a one-off character?
That would be so bad.
I really want, obviously, like Homelander, as much of a villain, like honestly, has there ever been a villain that you wanted to see die more? But then if he dies, there's no show. You know what I mean? Like it's
No, I don't want him to die. I don't
okay.
fuck what y'all talking about. I want him alive and well. Like he's the show. Like
But don't you
he's
want the characters to like get their comeuppance on him, because he's just like running
Not right
roughshod over-
now.
not right now. Like
Not right
I want this
now.
shit to last for another
Not
few more seasons. Like
Not Starlight. She's like being tortured. She just saw her like ex-boyfriend. Just, like,
Listen,
brutally
Starlight.
murdered.
Listen, Starlight can take care of herself. She's all right. All right. She can play the game as well. She will survive. She will be okay.
I want to see Homelander die, and then there is a clone of him.
A clone. Okay.
Black Noir finally like comes out as the next Homelander.
That'd be cool. In the comments, it is, but
Yeah.
I mean, we got confirmation that Black Noir is actually black.
Yeah.
And he was just disfigured and burned and everything. So,
And
but I don't know. I'd like to see that. That'd be crazy.
George, you brought up a really, really great point about Black Noir. He's been very, I mean, obviously he doesn't speak, but he's been very quiet this season and like very much lurking in the background.
Yeah.
And if y'all remember in the Diabolical animated series, Black Noir is very key in that episode about Homelander.
Yep.
It's, because Black Noir is kind of like Homelander's protector, mentor. He's also the guy that Edgar is using to watch Homelander. So you wonder, does Black Noir still have like a loyalty tie with Edgar? Will he do something to stop Homelander? Will he, do something to keep Soldier Boy from doing something to Homelander? Like, is he Homelander's protector? Like, there's a lot of interesting things with that character, I think.
Yeah.
Maggie says that Soldier Boy is going to be a more permanent character because they definitely didn't hype up Stormfront like they did with Jensen Ackles. So I will say I never watched Supernatural. I know Supernatural was like a big deal. Like it has like a cult following. Even recently there was some kind of convention that happened. I think it was Supernatural convention and Jensen was there. And I think he was also talking about The Boys. So I agree, Maggie, that he probably is going to have a more permanent role on the show The Boys than previous characters.
And also with that actor Jensen Ackles, like he kind of made his name on Supernatural, and Eric Kripke was the showrunner of Supernatural. Like Eric Kripke invented that show, and that show went 15 seasons. I think Kripke was only on it for 5 seasons, but like
the more you know, ding ding. ding.
So that's why he's on the show. And so I do think that, I mean, I hope that he gets more than a season because obviously he is a very good actor. He's very popular with the segment of this kind of fandom. But I don't know, like with this show, like we talk about, like there's it's all gas, no brakes. It just go. Crazy stuff's happening all the time, and it's moving forward. And you're just like, I mean, who's going to make it to season 4 besides obviously Butcher and Homelander? Seriously.
Frankie, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see like the sins of the father type of ending for Homelander. I think the son's gonna kill him. I think once he matures, he gets a hint of his powers, he's probably gonna be the one to take out Homelander. Um, but I think the show's gonna be over. It's gonna be off because he's so young right now. But I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good call. I mean, I just wonder. I just wonder how long this show is going to go. You know, like it's just. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a fourth season. I assume there's going to be a fifth season. It's just it's so good, but they burn through so much material. Like I said, every episode is just chock full of stuff. There's so much more stuff that we haven't talked about that we could talk about. It's just, to me, it's kind of like it's overwhelming to watch this show because there's just so much stuff happening. I mean, like some of the comedic stuff that we haven't talked about, like when the Deep and A-Train get into that fight in the hall. Like I love that. Like there are these two guys who are like, you know, they're doing anything to suck up to Homelander, and then like they get into a fight. A-Train punches him, and he's like, "You guilt punch me, motherfucker," whatever. Like I don't know. It's just funny, and then, like the Deep is like so dumb. His wife is like texting him things to tell Homelander, and then Homelander's like, "Yeah, Deep. Surprisingly, that makes sense." You know, like
Yeah.
it's just he's such a dumb character. Also, did y'all know that he's like Tony Romo's brother-in-law?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah. Like
I feel
season one,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I was like, that's so
That doesn't
crazy
help his
that-
case, in my opinion, but you know, it's fine. It's fine.
I don't know. I guess I relearned that fact recently, and I was just like, that's so
That's funny.
what a small world.
Real quick, y'all, before we wrap, I wanted to just kind of address this because I had mentioned in our first episode of reviewing season 3 of The Boys that I questioned whether Butcher was going to be the one who was going to like that taste of power and taking the compound V, and was it going to be enough? Would he be able to let it go? But after this episode, I'm now shifting it to that of Huey. And I say this because he made mention about how he was so angry that he couldn't breathe. He basically has to be saved time and time again by his girlfriend, who's a soup. And I guess for a man, he has insecurities, and we've talked about this before in previous pods about just being insecure with oneself. Like, is it threatening when a female who's confident and powerful or whatever, like, is that threatening? Clearly it's very threatening for Huey, right? And do y'all think that he's going to be the one that's going to turn into like a compound V junkie?
I think so, because
he
already looks like a drug addict. Like, he was addicted to the power. Like you see him in the car, he's like playing with his arm. He's just like amazed and in awe of like what he just did. Like, he's still spooked, but he's also like intrigued of like, holy shit, like, I'm strong.
Yeah. And Frank, let me pose this question to you. Now that we see what has happened with Supersonic and how he was, aligning himself with Starlight, obviously Starlight is in a relationship with Huey. Do you think that once she finds out that he's taken this Temp V, do you think she's going to encourage him to keep taking it? That way he's protecting himself.
Yes, only because he's at this point they set a line, that Captain America line, with whatever it takes. The episode was that this episode or the episode before? I can't remember. Episode before. Okay, so I think it's going to go to a pace where they're going to do things they don't want to do, but for the sake of their safety and for the sake of humanity, due to Homelander, they're going to have to do these wretched things. Like, I mean, she basically got Supersonic killed by letting him stay. Like, she should have, like, but she knew she needed him there. And Starlight, pre what's going on with Homelander, would have cautioned against it, would have fought against it. I think it's guns ablaze now. Like, you got to do what you got to do to try to stop this guy, because as of right now, we're 3 seasons and 4 episodes in, and we have no inkling of what Homelander's weakness is. So, and you see what Maeve, you see what
Milk.
Butcher,
Sorry.
milk, breast milk, yeah, right. So I think it's gonna be one of those things where it's gonna be a guns ablaze and deal with the damages later.
I mean, and I say this to further my point, and Justin, I want to get your take on this as well. The fact that Starlight has says we need, maybe 3 or 4 more people to team up against Homelander. If you get all of the boys, Frenchie, Huey, Butcher, to all take V, I mean, that they have better chances. to maybe fight off Homelander. Maybe. What are your thoughts on that?
I wonder, because in the comic, MM is actually a soup because he's like the Hulk almost, like he's that big, he's massive. I mean, Laz Alonso's a big dude, but he's not like the Hulk in the show. I don't see his character wanting to do that. I feel like he is the only true character in his convictions, because you can see just like that great scene we talked about where, Butcher's saying, hey, like me and the Colonel, we noticed like that you were a natural born leader and that you could, I can be really shitty to these people and you can come in and be the good cop and make them feel good about themselves and keep the team together. And I just feel like I don't think he would go through with being a soup. I mean, considering how disappointed he was with Huey, Butcher was too, but on a different level. Like MM, it felt like you could see like it hurt him that Huey would do that. So, I mean, I think that obviously he said in the very end of this episode that he was out, but I mean we've seen that before. Obviously, last season he was going to be out, but he came back. So, I think he'll be a part of trying to take down Homelander, and maybe he has to realize that like using Soldier Boy to take down Homelander is the only way. Maybe that's how maybe that's how Soldier Boy dies, is by trying. They use him to kill Homelander, and then we don't know what happens until season 5 or season 4 as far as if it was successful or not. But I don't see MM taking the compound V or the temporary V or any kind of that stuff. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
So the one last thing I wanted to mention was Supersonic. We lost him in this episode, but we never really learned what his superpower was, did we?
I think he could
sing really terrible boy band songs.
Yeah, besides that, I think it literally had something to do with like a supersonic sound wave. I don't know because his name before was Drummer Boy.
Right.
So I don't know if it was like if he did something on his person and like sound waves just like radiated out of him. I'm not sure.
I was interested to find that out. That's why I was disappointed that he died, because I wanted to see like what his power was going to be. But
we did learn he did not speak Spanish fluently.
That's
I feel you. I feel you.
I was going to mention that because like with him gone, we lose the great comedy bit where Homelander goes out of his way to speak Spanish to him. Like he talks about how like they have the best taco bowls in town inside the Vought Tower. And he's like, yeah, muchacho or whatever. And he's like, it's like, sir, I don't speak Spanish, like that running bit was funny to me. I just like this show is very violent and brutal, but the comedy also hits pretty well with me too. So
clearly the PR team does not give a fuck about what happens to the 7. Like you lost Lamplighter, you lost Supersonic, Deep Left.
I know.
A-Train.
Yeah.
Like it's like a
Translucent.
Translucent. They never found Translucent. Like it's like what like why would you want to join the 7?
They did find Translucent.
Well, no, I'm talking about PR. I'm talking about PR wise. They never said. Did they say what happened? Right. Yeah, like he's still missing. I want to say.
Well, they had a funeral for him.
They had a funeral. Remember?
Okay.
He like was on a mission on a secret mission.
Yeah, that's right. But it's like at this point, like, why would you want to join the 7 when like every other month a member is gone or missing or dead? It's like, I'm good, fam. I'm good. I'm gonna stay in Baltimore, bro. And be
sounds like a workplace that we know very dearly.
They just got back to being 7, and now they're not whole again. So I wonder who's the next member of the 7. So,
Soldier Boy, tell him.
So, before we leave, let me throw it to Brittany. Brittany, how can people find us on social media?
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search The Watchers in the Basement or handle at Watchers Basement. I do want to give a special shout out to, again, my friend Maggie, who commented on our post on Facebook and said she'd join us. We really appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts about this episode with us. And super cool that you were at that convention where Jensen Ackles was. That's freaking awesome. And you can help grow our audience by using hashtag Watchers Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram when talking about us. If there is something you want us to check out, please let us know and use this hashtag. And last but not least, for those who are not into video podcasts, that's cool. We are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, thanks to Anchor.fm. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us out. We'd really like to make this into a full-time job one day. So your support has everything to do with that. So please give us a 5-star rating. be sure to follow us. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube. Also, give us a like on this video. We'd really appreciate it. And Mel, yes, Mel was here. Sorry, Mel. Totally forgot that you were here. My bad. We appreciate you being here as well and supporting us as always. And that pretty much wraps it up, Justin.
Yeah, and thanks, Brittany. And speaking of YouTube, so we're trying to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. So hashtag Hundy on a Monday.
Oh God.
I don't know. I'm trying to make that funny. It sounds funnier in my head than when I say it. I'm like, God, bombed. Anyway, I'll work.
Help
hard.
us get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year is my goal. But
or the end of the day. Let's just knock it out. Like, well, why wait? You know what I mean?
hashtag road to 100.
There you go.
Thanks, Mel. That's it.
There you go.
Bad
So,
Really, Mel.
so anyway, that's all we got. We'll be back next week. So for Frank, for Brittany, for George, this is Justin saying, see you next week when we talk about episode 5, season 3 of The Boys. Bye-bye.